Now, you can argue all you want about whether the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting between senior campaign officials and Russian nationals offering dirt on Hillary was appropriate, but was it illegal? Trump critics are losing it after the president acknowledged the true intention of the meeting on Twitter yesterday. And MSNBC's Joe Scarborough thinks he knows exactly what this means.
It's illegal to get information, to get anything of worth from a foreign national. Mika, it doesn't have to be cash. There doesn't have to be an exchange of cash for something of value. Anything of value, that's called an in-kind contribution. And the law has always looked at that just as seriously as they've looked at, at money exchanging hands.
Oh, Joe. Joining me now to discuss this, former Deputy Trump campaign manager Dave Bossie, opinion contributor for The Hill John Solomon, and attorney Leo Terrell. All right, Bossie, take it away. Joe was definitively putting his legal skills to work, definitively declaring it is illegal to meet with a foreign national who promises Oppo research. Wouldn't that call Hillary's behavior?
Well, that's exactly. I was just about to say that's what the Clinton campaign did. If there's any collusion, it's their campaign with the Steele fake Russian dossier and paying Steele through the State Department, through other places, through the FBI. Look, they are the only ones. The Clinton campaign are the only ones that colluded during this campaign. Don Jr. did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong here.
Why did they get the story a little mixed up there in the early days? Like it wasn't about the, and then it was, they didn't help with the statement. Like, let me tell you, as a lawyer who did criminal defense work, this is what I tell my clients. Do not talk about your case. Cierra la boca en español. Cierra la boca. Do not talk. Talk about economy, talk about other things. Leave the legal stuff to me. You cannot litigate this in the press because the press hates you.
That's right.
And you got 17 lawyers on the other side who don't care about what you tweet. So the president's going to do what he's going to do, and he's really smart. But in the legal realm, it's a different ballgame. It's a different ballgame. And I think he's caused himself a world of pain and just not heartache, but a headache because of talking to the press. John.
Well, I'm never going to
talking about this.
Yeah, I don't want to never discourage anyone to talk to the press. They should always talk to the press.
Now, I may not talk about his case.
Yeah, but listen, where was my profession on this very law when the whole Hillary dossier thing was coming out? You didn't see any stories of reporters looking at that law saying it must apply here. Suddenly, someone says it applies to Donald Trump, and everybody goes with the pack over here. No one really goes and talks to lawyers. I've talked to lawyers, prosecutors. There's a great column by Jonathan Turley on the Hill site tonight. There's no chance that meeting violates the law.
He says that. We'll read from it. He said, if the Russians had evidence of criminal conduct by Hillary Clinton, her campaign, or her family foundation, the Trump campaign had every reason to want to know about it. That's precisely what Clinton's campaign spent millions to do, talking to Russians and other foreigners investigating Trump. Indeed, under this interpretation of federal election laws, Clinton and her surrogates would be equally guilty in using a former foreign spy to gather info on Trump from foreign sources, including the Russians. Yeah. Period. Leo Terrell, your reaction to that?
Well, I'm glad you're a lawyer, Laura, and you know as well. Donald Trump Jr. better lawyer up because he, along with Jared, sat in that meeting, and I got news for you. That is conspiracy. That is a
conspiracy to do what?
Defraud. Listen, hey.
What's the crime?
Conspiracy to defraud the election, to defraud the election. Their involvement.
What's the statute,
let me tell you right now, Donald Trump.
Give me the code. What's the statute?
I'm going to tell you right now. You can talk to right over your colleague, Judge Napolitano, and Leo Terrell agrees. Donald Trump Jr. is in trouble. Mark my words on this. And the idea of using the Clinton dossier, Clinton never met with any foreign nationals like Donald Trump Jr. and Jared. What a false distinction.
So you're
that
saying
is a false distinction.
So, Leo, number one, you can't cite a statute. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll let you off the hook for that. Number two, you're saying if you use intermediaries to gather information from foreign sources, then you obviate from having any responsibility in any conspiracy? Really? Because I think that would just make Fusion GPS, Hillary, and anyone else in the Justice Department who knew about this, who facilitated the production of the dossier.
let me respond to my favorite talk show host. I'm saying to have a conspiracy, you have a meeting of the mind. Jared, Donald Trump Jr., conspiracy, Laura. Remember today's date. There is no meeting of the minds with Hillary Clinton.
What's the you have to have an underlying law.
First of all, he's not pointing out.
You and I are the only lawyers on this panel, unfortunately. This is where.
No, fortunately.
Yeah, fortunately. I'm recovering, Leo. I'm recovering. But again, we have a situation where I agree on this point. Don't litigate this stuff in the press, because politically, people say a lot of things politically, and they come close to the truth. They don't.
But can
None
I
of
point
that
out
matters
one
as
piece?
a legal matter. It might be unwise as a legal PR strategy, but it doesn't mean a crime was committed. That is wholly different.
They also uncovered.
You don't see conspiracy?
They also uncovered the text messages from Jared Kushner to his assistant saying, "Get me out of this meeting after 5 minutes." So that's called exculpatory evidence. And I would hope that you would say there's no conspiracy when people are trying to not be in a meeting.
I think it's funny, though, and John, maybe you'll respond to this. This is on CNN. I think I was on, like, the treadmill this morning. I'm watching this. I was almost at the Fred Flintstone thing and, like, fell off the treadmill because I'm listening to this going, wait a second, which one of these is a lawyer coming to this conclusion? Let's watch.
To me, there are two big important things here. First of all, the law, which says
that's a big one.
It's illegal to take anything of value from someone foreign.
Yeah, I feel that's an open and shut case.
Let's
at that point.
Oh, it's just an open and shut case. It's just so completely over, John.
I've said this many times on this show, on Hannity's show. I don't recognize the profession I practice in today. There are so many reporters that just say things in the moment without a basis for fact. You have to have a law to create a conspiracy. There's no law that prohibits people from taking information. If you extended this out, one of the lawyers I talked to today said, well, then it would have been against the law for Barack Obama to have arranged all those foreign trips in 2008 to make himself look good on the world stage before he got elected president. It wasn't designed to prohibit those sort of things. It was designed to prohibit the sort of things that the Clintons were doing in the 90s when they were taking money from China.
Donald Trump Jr. knew he was talking to agents of the Russian government. Remember that text? I love it. I love it. Remember that text, Laura? My
so
point
you're
is simply
saying,
this.
oh, wait,
Mark it down.
Leo, so are you making the Joe Scarborough, Edward Bennett Williams argument that this is an in-kind contribution? Because if you make that argument, then as Jonathan Turley said, it's the same liability, criminal liability on Hillary Clinton for an in-kind contribution that she received from a foreign source. She paid for it, but it doesn't matter. It's a conspiracy to get the information, whether you paid for it or not.
I'm saying to you, Attorney Ingram, that the meeting of the minds, the conspiracy of having that meeting, you don't need the act itself. They met to get dirt from a governmental
adoption meeting,
and that's what I'm talking about. Conspiracy.
Don Jr. was on. Okay, Don Jr. is on a radio show today in the morning, and I asked him about this meeting. Let's listen to what he said.
It's sort of the cycles of the media narrative, right? You know, the other stuff isn't sticking, so they're back now. Tomorrow they'll be back on the 25th Amendment. Literally nothing's changed. They don't talk about sort of the genesis of that meeting and that these people were dealing with Fusion GPS before and after the meeting, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, it was a 20-minute meeting. It ended up being, about essentially nothing that was relevant to any of these things. And, that's all it is, and that's all they've got. And, that is, I guess, the ultimate distraction from what's really going on in this country, which is you have a Republican president, a very conservative president who's getting stuff done.
Can I just make one last comment and I'll keep my mouth shut?
Right.
One last comment.
Yeah.
One last comment. Donald Trump Jr. said that meeting was about Russian adoption. His dad threw him under the bus today by saying that's not true. And Donald Trump Jr. has a problem with the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Leo,
he didn't tell the full disclosure.
This stuff is being repeated on TV all day long, and it's wrong. Yeah. Here's what happened. Okay. This woman pledged to give dirt on Hillary. Yes, she did, and that's what the president said. However, she was trying to push for a removal or to rescind the Magnitsky Act. Putin, when the Magnitsky Act was passed, which put all the sanctions on the billionaires, he said, oh, really? We're going to stop all adoptions of Russians into the United States. I have 2 Russian sons. I followed this very closely. That's why she brought up, she said, we'll give you the adoption if you guys get rid of the Magnitsky. So he's right. Of course she talked about the adoption. That was true. They all documented
She also
that.
met with Fusion GPS, I believe, the day before the meeting and the day after the meeting. Yeah. So this is part of a conspiracy of what Hillary Clinton's campaign was doing.
Now, and
This is
by
set
the
up.
way, John Solomon, I want to find out, maybe you can do the reporting on this. Why hasn't Mueller interviewed Veselnitskaya? Why haven't they brought Veselnitskaya in? Why?
Well, we don't know that he hasn't. That's one of the things. Mueller,
Well,
we don't.
I think no. I think she offered to testify. I don't believe she's been brought in unless something new has happened in the last
I
week.
wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of information flowing to her to the press.
This
All right, we gotta
investigation
go.
has been going on for 2 years and cost over $25 million of taxpayer money. And this is where we are today, talking about
Let
old
me just say
news.
this: Donald Trump,
Yeah.
Donald Trump
Yeah,
Jr.
you guys, we
needs
gotta
to
go.
lawyer
Leo,
up immediately.
Leo, I'm not trying to cut you off, but we're gonna go to black, and I'm gonna get in trouble. But thank you. It was a great panel.